Some of my cord today, I want to talk about some interior things. So, stock, the inside of this is beige. So far I've been able to change the look of the car by dyeing the carpet. The floor mats don't do it justice because the floor mats are very bare. But the carpet underneath that was dyed is really nice, other than it needs a vacuum. But anyway, I took the stock beige carpet and dyed it. Normal dye, it wasn't a synthetic or anything like that, it was just the normal dye. It stuck like a champ. It's really just the process that you go through prepping it, and you have to wash the dye completely out. So it worked perfectly good. The stock carpet was very faded. It had a lot of stains, so I was very pleasantly surprised with how it came out. The center console and all the trim I swapped out for gray, and I used the vinyl dye to make the panel gray over here. I kept the brown top trim panel because a lot of the Acuras do the browns and grays together. So I kept that. One thing I did do is these are the stock door panels. The fabrics on these aren't changeable. They're like permanently adhesed to the panel and like sealed down. I wanted the ability to manipulate that in some way so I could reupholster it or do something else new. These, I upgraded to these. These have a little insert in them so you can change this out. So this leather that's right here, it's in really rough shape. You can see it's like getting ripped open, but this allows me to change it out. So those panels look like these. They've got these little bendy prongs on the back of them. You got these that like kind of hold in the seam of the leather with like a little bit of like rope, and then you've got these prongs up here which actually hold it into the door, and as you can see it's all formed and wrapped around, so you can actually change this panel out or dye it or whatever. It's literally just foam glued to metal. This is an actual metal piece, and then you have your leather on top of that. So one thing I want to do to fix those floor mats is I want to stick with the blue theme, since everything in here is going to be blue, and I've got a new set of mats for that. So these mats don't look like much, but they're like kind of a big deal for me. Real globby, like texture pattern to the material, looks really cool, kind of like race flaggy looking. These are actually Acura mats. So the driver's side's got Acura on it, and the passenger side's got the Acura logo. I'm going to take these, I'm going to wash them really well, and then I'm going to dye them with the dye, and those are going to mesh really well with the interior. I can feel it. Those are going to look really good when they get done. I'm hoping I want to see the light and the dark bits stay that way, so hopefully when I run the dye through it, if I do it lightly, I can get that color to take, so it'll be the blue with the back and forth. For my seats, I've got these Toyota Supra seats. They've got this like checkered material to them, and they'll match the new floor mats I picked up after I dye them. So with the door panel inserts, got a bunch of leftover upholstery fabric from other Hondas. This material over here is out of a 2000 Honda Civic, and then this material over here is out of a 2001 Honda Civic. This is the material I want to use for the panels. It's got like a geometric pattern on it. It's like dark, and it's got like blues to it. I want to make a door panel piece out of this to fit on here, because I think that would look really smooth. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't blend in too well, I can always take it and dye it darker, because they are a little light in spots. So I took some of the seat fabric and I cut the back panel off of it. So now it's just the front. I'm going to try to minimize it down to just the pattern as much as possible and try to wrap the panel in it. I think from here, because I'm going to use this to tuck, I think from here to the top seam, because of course you don't want to use any further than that because I've got the holes for the headrests. But I think that'll have it. Yeah, I think that'll be big enough to wrap a panel in it. And I can try it on the table so I don't have to take this apart just yet. So I've managed to keep the foam intact on this. There's little prongs that the little like ropey piece goes into to hold its form. This is what it looks like on the back here. So that's what makes it hold its form. So I think if we can get that cut right and on here, may be able to tuck it in really well and then like stitch it over, and then that way it'll hold its shape. If not, then we'll have to cut it like it's a pattern. So I definitely think I'm going to have enough material here for both panels using both of these pieces. This is strong enough I can actually stretch it out and stitch down that one part and cut my hole and tuck it and have the plastic handle over it. And I noticed one thing I am going to have to do is I'm going to have a crease somewhere, because that's just the nature of the fabric, because that's how it was done on the seat. So I've decided I want that crease to be towards like the wing shape back, but like behind where the handle is on this side, so that I can do the same type of theme with the driver's side. So on the driver's side, the handle would be there. So on the other side, the seam's about like right here. So what I can do is I can knock out the passenger side, and then once I have that dialed in, then I'll know to measure in so far to know that's where the crease goes. And then the crease will be the same on the both sides, and it'll look fine, and it'll look like it was made for the car like that. And that's what I'm going for. So this is about how far I've gotten. I've got the bottom here is pulled tight. Basically, I just went around and tucked it and then clamped it with the clamps that secure it to the door. I'm going to do that around and then make sure that I have enough room for handle to be cut out and for all of this to mush into itself. Okay, so I got a basic mock-up. I think this is going to look really good on gray panels. Of course, it's not perfect because I don't have screws in and it's not perfectly tucked. This wrinkle will be gone when it's done, but I think this is going to work out really well, and the seam on the material went exactly where I wanted it, so I still got plenty of room to move. I think this is going to be nice. I basically got the handle in, cut the hole for the handle and got the handle pressed in to hold the material, and then smoothed the material down, and then went around and cut it a little further from the edge, and then rolled it under. I clamped all the clamps down and then took a pair of scissors and just used it as a wedge all the way around and up. And I think I'm going to use the top panel to my advantage, and instead of rolling the material underneath the panel, I think I'm going to use this to lock down the top, give it slack, and then lock it down when this gets screwed in, so it sets it at like a locked in position where it won't balloon out or anything.